Hey YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? I might keep this video a little shorter or make a part 2 here in a sec. So I don't have a lot of time here before I have to. Anyway, it's a cell phone thing. Sorry about that. So I got some stuff to talk about, and again, I'll probably make a part 2 here in a sec. As you see, my wondrous neighborhood, which hopefully will be calming as I talk about a more grievous issue I'm dealing with in my vlogs, that sort of thing. So I have a friend of mine. I've mentioned him anonymously. I won't mention his name. I'm not planning to mention his name, but I mean, you guys probably, it's pretty obvious why. You just don't do those things on YouTube. But this friend of mine, I've been visiting a bit more often more recently. So this is a very interesting situation. My current situation living is not where I'd like it to be, but it's tolerable. It's actually better than tolerable. It's actually very nice in a lot of respects. But of course, COVID-19 makes everything a little rougher and tougher and for everybody. But especially in my friend's case. So his landlady has been very intolerable for quite some time for him. Quite some time. She lives there at the place he's at. He has a room. She expects him to clean up after the cat. She doesn't let him eat at a table, even sitting down on a chair. He has to eat standing up. He has very limited room for food, stuffs, and he pays her, I think, $600 a month for a room that's smaller than mine. I only pay $500. And I'm actually closer to Seattle, which is, King County is more expensive in general. And this lady is a witch. She's a witch. She's been divorced for a while. She's had some boyfriends. Kids are all moved out. Even though, she thinks she can just kind of do what she wants and have whatever whimsical rules she wants. It's her way or the highway. Well, if you're in a landlord-tenant situation, if you have a contract, there's some things you can't do. If you don't have a contract, then, well, it's a little different situation. Like, I don't have a contract right now, but my landlord is very reasonable. There's some things that are a little tough, but if you don't have a contract, you can't be held liable for a lot of things, and you just try to be a good tenant. And I think that's not a bad way to go, so long as you can. There's always things like if the toilet floods, what happens? And I've been through that, so yeah. But let's get back to what's happening with my friend here. So he doesn't have a car either, and he just hurt his leg trying to help someone move. And there are other things, like this COVID-19 thing, where his landlady won't let anybody in the house. Maybe his bathroom's okay. So she's petrified of this thing, more so than I think she should be, of course. And she's just kind of weird. I can't put my finger on it, not exactly. But everything I'm trying to do with him, I'm trying to help him by driving more to his place. So it's taking gas money and time. And it's kind of on me. A lot of what we're just doing is more on me. We're going to do some different stuff where it's just video games at my place or something different. We're kind of going a different route, which is what we're doing here. Just in that range of things with this gentleman I'm friends with. So, no, we're just going to do different stuff. Hang out. Adult hangouts, you can hang out with people whenever you want to. It doesn't matter what age you are. But, yeah, I mean, like, it's just, it's different if you have your own place, and it's different if you don't have your own place. I mean, you have to kind of deal with stuff. So, and it's also different right now until we are done with this thing, which is, I guess, the end of this month, which I'm looking forward to and counting the days. Every single day I'm counting the days until we're done. But I have to apologize. I don't have to keep more to the point here of what I'm actually trying to say. But all this stuff is contributing. definitely. And so there's been this thing, I've had, like, so on some level I've had to deal with his landlady, even though I don't know her, like he knows her. I've had to deal with her rules and her whimsical whatevers, her absent-mindedness and all this stuff. We were planning on, we were planning on getting together and doing some stuff at his place. Doing like an adventure thing I'd made without dice, so we don't have to waste time on the dice rolls and all that stuff. And I just know how well he's armed, what spells he had, be a very fair dungeon master, so to speak. Usually we do this stuff in her backyard, because she didn't want anybody inside. And so, because she decides to just be outside talking with a relative, or I don't know who, and the time that we're planning on this, and because she's not letting anybody inside the house, and also I brought over some food to cook, I'm a little miffed, to say the least, about the situation. But I understand it's not my buddy's fault. At least he tried to explain to her when I'd be over. I was coming over today. So it wasn't really ultimately his fault. But the other thing, part of this is everything that is happening is also, I'm not seeing what's happening on his end. He doesn't lie. He is coherent. But I am assuming that everything he's telling me is the truth, which I'm sure it is. But we're dealing with, I don't know. I know what my friend's personality is like, and I know that it is, well, anyway. So, anyway, this lady just either forgets, quote unquote, or just doesn't even care who's coming over. Her family comes first. Doesn't matter about anyone else's plans, even a tenant's plans, socially. So we decide to go, I think, back to my place. And I'm also dealing with an elderly landlord, but actually, in my case, my landlord's elderly, actually officially elderly, and this other lady is more middle-aged. And he was awesome. He just, as long as we weren't making a racket, wait late at night, and very understandable, so we were able to do our stuff, and it's cool. Today, we kind of did some stuff out more in Linwood and stuff, and just, central Linwood area. Didn't have to deal with anything there. And this is what I've heard, because we had a little bit of an argument when I was there last time, before today. And this is coming from someone who didn't know me. So the landlady overhears some of the things that I'm saying. I'm rather upset because of the situation. It wasn't that bad of a situation, but I think I was maybe a little bit miffed about some things coming over to begin with. This lady who doesn't even know me and who's been a total witch to my friend, as he's described all the things he's had to do for her and all the things he's had to endure. She doesn't want me back. I'm like, screw you. Anybody who acts like that, who just, gets the wrong idea about somebody so easily without even knowing them. I've had to deal with a lot of crap anyway. This particular friend of mine isn't the easiest person always to get along with, but I do like him. He's a good man. He's a member of my church, and I can get into that. That's a different subject, but it's not always easy, and so I sometimes adds to the frustration sometimes of whatever it is I'm doing with him. So it's just, he's younger than I am, but it doesn't really matter. It's just what do you do? And he's just like, oh man, I just want a good reference. I want to get out of there as soon as my lease is over. And he has some mischievous things in mind, but after he gets the good reference, I'm like, this lady is a witch. Yeah, I don't ever want to talk to her again. I honestly don't. I don't even want to see her. I don't even want to see her house. I don't even want nothing. I want nothing to do with that old bag. Anybody who acts like that, anybody Anybody, in my opinion, who disrespects the time, the gas money, the effort, all that stuff, isn't worth my time, isn't worth my energy. That's, of course, assuming that my buddy has been, honest with me about everything that's been going on. And I'm assuming he is. Why would I know he's trustworthy. If it somehow turns out that he hasn't been, which I don't think, I'll ever hear the other end. I'll never talk to this landlady again. And I feel no loss. I feel no loss because she's kind of an old witch. She's not a pleasant person. She likes her wine. She bottled herself up in her house, this COVID-19 thing, and she only cares about herself. She doesn't care at all about my buddy. And a lot of tenants don't, because they don't live there. But if they do live there, at the same place that the person's renting from, that's where you do want a tenant, or you want a landlord that you can tolerate better. Or not even just tolerate, actually enjoy their company. That can work out, but, it's just all the stuff on my end, it's unbelievable. The more I think about this, I'm like, I want nothing to do with this woman. Absolutely nothing. Nothing whatsoever. She has nothing on me. Absolutely nothing. If you don't mess with people like that. You don't have, and all this, I'm going through my buddy who's her tenant. I'm not talking to her directly. Every time, my experience, every time I go through someone else, in any kind, it's not just this situation. There's other situations I've been in where I'm working with somebody I've worked with for quite a while on the French horn. I'm working with someone quite a while on this French horn piano thing. And since I'm going through this other lady, I don't always know what tempos they're going to be taking for a performance. The harder the piece is that you're working on, like I mentioned, I think you guys have seen I was in a Lutheran church or something like that and had this performance. If you're playing harder piano music, you really have to be spending more time in these faster tempos. And I had no indication from this lady what this other guy I knew in college, how he's going to take it. And he had been a much better horn player. He said he'd horned under Dale Clevenger, So, and I wasn't getting paid much, and I played pretty well. I really did, for considering how hard the piece was. But, I'm running out of, I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. So in that case, again, I was working with a middleman, in a way, a middle woman. I hate that situation. I don't know what's going on. There's things I have no control of, or I don't have any knowledge of, and I hate being in that situation of having to go through a middleman in some weird, messed up situation like that. So I was not at fault. I was not at fault for, raising my voice or any of that stuff with, my buddy of mine. She should have known I was going to be there. And she should have been like, oh, even though it's my house, if I want to say something to him, maybe I should say, oh, I have a relative coming over. Even at the last moment, give me a call. Have him give me a call and say, oh, we can't do this. So I'm not driving over there. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.